Hello everyone and welcome back to Dragalia Foundry. For today's video, I want to take a look at the new levels that were added to the Shadow Mercurial Gauntlet. Now we have levels 0 through 50, or 1 through 50, of every single element. So what I decided to do for this video was show off the teams I used to clear at several different stages or difficulty levels of this mode. So I'm starting off by showing the team I used to clear 30, then I'm going to continue on and show the team I cleared 40 with, then 41 since that's the turning point where these matches go from 1 minute to 2 minutes and it does make a difference, and finally I'll conclude the video by showing my clear of 50. You can see that in my clear of 30 here, I was able to use an entirely light element team. I didn't have to time my skills or iframes with a lot of care. It's pretty sloppy of a clear, but clear nonetheless. So I would say for the earlier levels of the gauntlet, it's pretty easy. You can kind of use whoever you have and probably get away with it, with the exception of the light gauntlet spiking at level 26. You do see an increase in difficulty in the Shadow Gauntlet as well, but it's not as profound. And I'll post a link to a very helpful Reddit chart that sums this up. So in comparison to the Light Gauntlet, Shadow is much easier just because Roy's HP is a lot lower. So I was using a pure light team to take on level 30, but by the time I got to level 40, not having any skill damage or strength co-ability, I did feel the need to bring in Gala Cleo. So for my clear of level 40, basically I replaced Summer Cleo with Gala Cleo, and it still cut it very close. I think by this point, most players will have plateaued in terms of what they're able to clear, unless they're really invested in the mode and want to try push themselves, or are a more hardcore player of Dragalia Lost. My impression is there are a lot of people who don't really touch Mercurial Gauntlet, which, given that it's kind of samey and kind of just a training dummy for your team, I can understand that, but I would encourage you to try clear as far as you can just because the rewards are really good. Especially if you're able to clear through 39 of a gauntlet, you're going to get a Sunlight Stone for that. And in particular now, they've increased the Endeavors list from level 20 for all gauntlets all the way up to level 50. So if you're able to clear every gauntlet up to certain thresholds, you're also getting lots of good rewards from that, including Consecrated Water, some extra Champion's Testaments. I want to say Sunlight Stones are in there as well, or at least one is, Damascus Ingots. So there are some really good rewards if this is a mode that you want to try out. It was pretty close there at my clear of 40. I don't have any max unbound 5-star light dragons, so I'm using Lindworms and partial unbound, I want to say Takamigazushi or Gilgamesh, one of the two. But I was able to clear 40 with a mostly light team, but still using Gala Cleo, so hopefully if you don't have her, you are able to pick her up on the return Gala that's happening in a couple days here. Here's my team for reference so you can see everything that was there. But now let's take a look at how things change at level 41. This is where I felt like the strategies that are used in the Mercurial Gauntlet kind of start to converge, and this has been a very popular tactic recently with Valentine's Azalith ever since the Affliction change and the existence of 2 Burning Punisher Wormprints thanks to her rerun. It is very easy to use her as an engine for your entire team. So essentially, Valentine's Azalith has a lot of good characteristics that make her very valuable in a mode like this. She can debuff the enemy's defense, she has the skill haste co-ability which can really smooth your rotations depending on the character. She also can inflict burn, which lets you use the Wormprint Elegant Escort, which has 30% Burning Punisher, on your stronger DPS characters, and she's kind of a burn bot to make that happen. So she does a lot of things quite well, and that's why you've seen her probably in a lot of Mercurial Gauntlet clear teams. Even if you only have one Elegant Escort Wormprint, I've seen some people run her, so I don't think it's out of the question to do so, even with one of those prints. I definitely recommended back on the Ardent Admirers rerun that people try to pick her up, and so hopefully you have access to her even if you don't have 2 of the Burning Punisher Wormprints. She's not a necessity though, so that's one thing I want to stress. This particular gauntlet has a lot more flexibility than the light gauntlet that released a couple weeks ago, so this one is a lot easier. Here I'm just using kind of a power team. I did want to include one light DPS, I thought that might be wise, so I went with Halloween Elisan. I'm leading with Addis since he's a blade unit. I want his co-ability. He has the bleed mechanic, it's pretty powerful, and he's taking advantage of Burning Punisher Wormprints that are available to me courtesy of Valentine's Azelith. So I was able to clear 41 very, very easily with about 13 seconds to spare or so. So I felt like from here it was going to be pretty easy to just continue to use this team, and I did progress a few more levels with it, but by the time I got to level 50, I found myself not wanting to deal with the hassle of Addis's RNG, and I also felt that Halloween Elisan just wasn't doing that much for me compared to normal Elisan. So normal Elisan is the other adventurer who is really a staple in a lot of Mercurial Gauntlet teams. It's pretty much her, Valentine's Azelith, and Gala Cleo for a lot of team comps, and I think that team plus Natalie, who's what I ended up using, can probably clear every single gauntlet at level 50, even when they're not doing super effective damage. So that's what I ended up switching over to. You may know this is the team that I used to clear light MG, so if it was able to clear that, I figured it should be able to clear this. It did take a lot of attempts. It took me around 70 attempts. I recorded each one, so I did count how many I deleted, so that's one thing I want to stress is you often see the final product in these videos, but it takes quite a while to get there, so just because you fail one run doesn't mean you're going to fail every run in this. You do need to iterate, keep trying. There are times when you're going to have better RNG than others. There's damage variance in the game, and then there's also critical hits. There's things like bleed variance, proc chances on debuffs. The timing of burn really can matter. So what actually ended up pushing me over the top was actually switched Valentine's Azelith's Wormprints from Seaside Princess to Bonds Between Worlds, which had 25% skill prep. And somehow just that 25% skill prep, everything with her burns just seemed to be lining up so much better for my team. So that ended up working a lot better than I expected it to, and it didn't hurt to get a really nice crit on Natalie's S1. Considering that's not super effective damage, being able to do 200,000 damage in one skill is pretty insane. So Natalie is absolutely a beast for this, but another great unit to bring as a blade is Victor. I don't have Victor, but if you do happen to have him, particularly with Vayu, he is incredible. Just being able to inflict bleed on his primary skill and do a lot of damage with it. He's also flexible enough that he can be run as an AI. You don't have to actually control him yourself. Whereas somebody like Natalie, you kind of do need to control her, otherwise she's going to do some crazy things and probably run off the side of the map with her S1, which propels her forward. But I was able to get the victory there, and it really surprised me given I had come super tight in all my past attempts, like I said, around 70 attempts, and then somehow on this clear, I ended up with multiple seconds to spare, like 6 or 7 seconds to spare. So I guess it goes to show you that a really lucky crit can go a long way. I'm going to get my congratulatory image, which is super nice, and I'll show off the rewards that you get for pushing your Mercurial Gauntlet teams to this point where you've cleared everything. Reset for Mercurial Gauntlet happens every month, but on the 15th. So if you're a newer player and are wondering what this is all about, it's kind of like a sandbag mode to test your DPS of your various elemental teams. I wouldn't worry about it too much, but even if you're able to clear through a few levels of each element, maybe 5 levels of each element, 10 to 20 levels of each element, before the 15th of the month, well, you can collect some rewards, so it might be worth a look once you've cleared out a lot of the other content the game has to offer. But that's pretty much going to do it for this video. I will show one final look through at my team so you can see everybody's stats, augments, equipment, and of course at the end of the video I have to equip my new epithet now that I am a Mercurial Master level 50. I have to wonder what's ahead for the gauntlet, how far up are they planning on pushing each of these elements? Since it already feels that we're kind of at the precipice of the power we're able to dish out at this point. I know the 6th ring of the Mana Circle is coming, there's more augments coming, so there are ways to continue to power ourselves up, but I hope that Mercurial Gauntlet ends before it outstays its welcome, I want to say. So I know it's already stale for some folks, and I'm still enjoying it, but if we go through like 2 to 3 more cycles where they just increase every month a new element, I don't know if I'd continue to be as crazy about it as I am. I hope it's something that ends sooner rather than later. But everyone, once again, that's going to do it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you next time.